Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we've got something a little bit different. I went on a whale watch yesterday and I brought some sketching stuff, just this little packet of things that I could slip in the inside pocket of my jacket just in case there was some downtime and I had the opportunity to sketch. I didn't, but I thought I really wanted to try out this rig and see how it would work, so I decided that I would kind of do a little faux plein air painting with you today. Basically, the photos I took were rubbish too on the whale watch and puffin watch tour, but I did go onto Pexels and find a cute little photo of a puffin sitting on a rock, and I thought that might be kind of fun to simulate a plein air sketch. By the way, if you've ever been interested in taking one of my online courses, I have the coupon code FUN40 and you can use that on any full-length class in my Teachable School to get 40% off. So I'll put that in the video description so that you can click on that and hopefully find yourself a deal on a class that you've been wanting to take. So what I did was I put, I have this little pencil pouch that came to me from Craftsy when I taught a class there a few years ago, and I just basically wanted to have a little minimal, mess-free supply. So what I have here is I've got a mechanical pencil, I have a water brush, I have a Jelly Roll white pen, and I have a couple microns that I want to kind of use up. They're getting towards the end and I just want to kind of use them up. So I have a .03 and an .08, an 003 and an .08. 03 is my most used size. That one's got a little oomph left in it, but I really want to open a new pack of microns, so I'm trying to use up the last few stragglers that I have that still have some life in them. And they've been re-inked and they're just ready to be done. And then in the big pouch, I have just a piece of cut up t-shirt. I have a little bottle. This was a Kool-Aid flavor enhancer, sugar-free thing. And what I do is after it's all empty, I take off the plastic sleeve and I open it just by forcibly turning it, and then I wash it out, soak it, wash it out, and then fill it with water. And then that's really easy to, you just pop the cap back on, and then I can fill up the water bottle, the water brush with this really easily without a mess. Then I decided to bring my Portable Painter Micro because honestly I haven't really got the hang of this, and I thought this might be just the type of thing to bring on an easy little trip because it's so small. You can see I didn't really commit to the paint I was putting in there. I just have small dabs. That's quite a bit of paint and watercolor just because like you can do quite a few sketches with that. But I was just trying to figure out what I might want to bring, and I put my ultramarine blue in a large pan so I could kind of work up big washes right there in the pan. But that's how this comes together, and there's actually a little, it's kind of like a little T-ring on the back. I think you'd kind of, well, you could do it either this way or you could do it this way. But I never really get the hang of it, so I'm going to give it another try today. And what I did was the colors that I used, I decided to make a little mixing chart to see what I would get for combinations. And I want to use an unusual color, cobalt turquoise. This is a color that I got from Core. I love their cobalt teal color, and I thought the cobalt turquoise would also be really beautiful, but it's kind of desaturated. But the Maine coast is very desaturated, so I thought that would be a really good color to have in my plein air palette. And then I've got Hansa Yellow Light, Permanent Rose, Ultramarine Blue, and Burnt Sienna. And then I just, kind of put them together to get the mixes, see the mixes I'd get. And I do love the mixes with the cobalt turquoise, just because it really it does Mainify the other colors. Is that a word? No, it's not a word. I'm not even going to ask. But I got my little Stillman and Bird 3.5 inch by 5.5 inch sketchbook, and let's do a little sketch. Yes, that's my next use page. I'm just going to sketch on this side so that hopefully I can zoom in and keep more stuff in frame. We'll just move I'll move this over here. So I would be probably holding all of this in my lap if I was painting out and about, because you typically don't have a place to lay things out, but we're gonna just go for it. So I'm gonna start just with a very quick little pencil sketch. Hopefully my mechanical pencil works. I tested it before I packed it. Oh my gosh. There we go. I'm going to start by just sketching on my little puffin. The puffin is sitting back too. I'll put a link to the reference photo also in the video description. And then we're going to put the head like that. It's just kind of hunched. Kind of a flat bottom. Saw lots of puffins. Saw them diving in the water and everything. Get the eye area. It was kind of like a teardrop white spot where the eye would be in. We've got a triangle. beak. A baby puffin is called a puffling. Isn't that the cutest word you've ever heard? A puffling. Oh my gosh, can you stand it? I can't even stand it. It's so cute. All right, we got this wing. We don't really see a lot of detail here, but I thought this was kind of an interesting, I think the wings are kind of crossed over each other. They don't have super long wings. Not like a gull. They're very, they look very different than gulls when they're flying. And then we've got kind of a mossy rock. Then we went, the cruise went out to Egg Rock off of Booth Bay Harbor. And that was great that we saw the puffins because the whales were elusive. It was a whale watch tour and there was no whales to watch. There was a lot of water watching, a lot of fog watching, not a lot of whale watching. But if you don't see a whale, they give you a, you can come to on another cruise for free. So that's good. All right, well, I might do the lighthouse tour because I'm 100% sure to see a lighthouse. They don't move. All right, I'm gonna go right in with my pen. So I generally don't dawdle too much when I am when I'm out sketching because things move, especially animals. You don't have a lot of time. If you've got people with you, you don't want to like, you don't want to be that guy that like people have to wait for. So now I am going to try to get my hand out of the way. I'm going to sketch this. This is a big white spot on the side of the face, and then the eye almost looks like a triangle. I have to see, this nib's wearing down. I've got to kind of be right up on it. I should just chuck it. I've got a new pack ready to go too. And I'm not really seeing a lot of detail, so I'm just going to color that in. And then, you know what, I'm going to switch to the end. My hand's going to be in the way and you guys are going to be annoyed, and rightly so. So then I'm just working on the edge of this larger nib. So that's something you can do. If you're stuck outside, you only have a bigger nib, use the edge of it and that will give you a finer line. And let's do so kind of a black spot there. And I'm also not going to get too detailed because there's no way you get that close to a bird. Maybe if you were in a blind. They actually had researchers out there on the place where we went, and you could see their blinds where they would sit for hours and observe the puffins. And man, talk about a newfound respect for people that observe wildlife. You know, I mean, man, oh man, you sit out there for days waiting for a whale to come by. And just get a little, it's all huddled up. I don't blame it. It was cold. It was so cold. And like I mentioned, this is not my photo. I will link to it because my photos were garbage. But I didn't want to bring my good camera because it's a lot of responsibility. I film my YouTube videos with that camera, so I just had my phone. I don't like to carry too much stuff. And that's why I like that little sleeve, because it fits inside my jacket. And I did wear my spring fall coat because I knew it was going to be cold. I feel bad for people that, thought it was summer when they got on the boat, because once you're out to sea, it's so cold in Maine. But anyway, I know that myself, I'm not going to be sketching outside if it is colder than when I would wear that coat, because my hands just get so numb. My hands were pretty numb yesterday. I wasn't even sketching. All right, so now I'm going to go in. I'm going to erase my pencil marks. Of course, you wouldn't have to do that, or you could even try doing that over your watercolor when you get home. What are we into? It's only 9 minutes in, and I spent a lot of the time talking about my setup there, so that's all right. All right, now I want to put a background in. Now, if you want, you could draw like a little binding box around if you're like worried about getting into the edge. I want my thicker pen. This has got to go. That one's too worn down. There, I did it. It's in the trash, guys. I can open up my new pack of microns. So I think that actually does look kind of neat when you do draw like a little binding box around something, just because, I don't know, it gives it like a frame. You could bring a little mini ruler in there if you wanted to draw it perfect, or you could just forget about it and not do it. I am going to do a background, and so I'm going to go right ahead and add some, make myself up a fairly good wash there in the ultramarine, because that's quite a bit of area to cover with a water brush. I'm going to grab some of the Burnt Sienna, And I am, you know what? I think I would hold this in my hand. I would hold it in my hand like this. Okay, I'd hold it in my hand like this. Because I'm right-handed, so I'd hold it in my left hand. And I would mix that up, and I would hold it like this. And I'd only mix up what I think I need. And then I would have it like that, so I didn't contaminate my ultramarine. It would just kind of fall in there. So that's what I was thinking. By putting in the large full pan there. So this portable painter. So if you follow my channel, if you follow me on Instagram, you may know that my favorite travel palette is my portable painter, and that comes empty. This comes empty too. You put whatever you want in for for your paints. And I do a basic split primary palette in there, plus, so that would be a warm and a cool version of each of the primaries, plus I have a yellow ochre and a sap green and burnt sienna and a dioxazine violet, 'cause that's really useful when you need fast dark shadows. And what else do I have in there? Yellow ochre, cobalt teal I think I have in there. Not cobalt turquoise, but cobalt teal. And that's a wonderful palette. I feel like I have everything I need, everything I could possibly want. But, and that also has 2 water buckets that hook to the edges. And that's great, but not if you're going to be sitting. And I was thinking, if I was on a boat and I wanted to do some sketching, I really need to be mindful of my space, because, you know, I didn't want to be taking anybody else's space, and also just be, you know, be fairly inconspicuous, because, you know, I don't know, you don't want to, I don't know, sometimes you just don't feel like being on display. So now I'm going to go in with that same mix, just less water, and put some shadows. Oh, and I'd love to know, I don't use water brushes that much. And every water brush, it seems like I've ever had, kind of feeds water out as I go. And then somebody else left a comment recently saying that your water brush shouldn't feed. Oh, by the way, this is how you clean your water brush. Just have that rag. You can have like an old tube sock too, and have that on your wrist, like, and dab it that way. Which I'll do if I'm not like in public, if I'm just out painting, you know, not in public. I'm going to add a little bit of the cobalt teal to that. Boy, I guess I really don't need all that extra mixing area. So do your water brushes feed out water? It seems like mine always do, but I'm thinking maybe I'm not having a universal experience here. So I want basically, the colors I want: dirt and rock and grass. Mossy grass. Well, that's actually more, kind of more mossy. But man, I do like the cobalt. Actually, I haven't even used the cobalt teal here, but I think the cobalt teal is just a really great kind of a great color, it's almost like a neutralized blue. I should have got the yellow first. I don't know if that's M. Graham or if that's Daniel Smith yellow, but boy, oh boy, it reactivates almost a little too well. I don't know if that's great for the travel palette here, but I'm kind of working away from the sky just so the colors don't bleed. And I do work pretty quickly when I'm doing project like this. I'm going to get a little ultramarine in there. I probably need like I probably am going to need a phthalo blue in here, because that cobalt turquoise is not going to give me that bright moss green. Even though we have a very dour color palette sometimes, in Maine you still get that bright, like almost Ireland moss emerald green. I actually know what I could put. I could put some Viridian. Viridian is nice because you can mix that. You can dull it down really easily. It's easier to dull down a color than to try to make it brighter. I'm going to add some brown. Actually, I don't mind holding it like this. I'm actually pinching it between my fingers. I don't have like the key ring. I don't have the ring on it right now. But of course, you know, when I'm painting, I'm not talking. I can paint a lot faster when I'm not talking, guys. I get distracted. Get chit-chatting. Although, I will say, though, if you're painting in public, be prepared to get some chit-chatting going on, because people will stop and be curious. That's part of the fun, you know? If you're not feeling very social, though, it can be a little it can be a little, it's so hard for me to not to dip this in the water nearby because I've got water like right off camera. I'm like, I could just dip it right in the water. Let's see, I'm gonna just do a little, since I don't have a bright mossy, I can't mix a nice mossy green with this. The closest I could get would be, is mostly yellow and a little bit of cobalt teal. I'm just gonna throw in some kind of just some shocksy yellow there. I think this palette, if you guys have this one and you've been kind of sitting on it, not really using it much, I think it just takes a little getting used to. And try that, just using the big pan, putting a little dab of ultramarine, and then so you have space to mix from. I think that might be kind of helpful. It was for me anyway. I need some more gray, so I'm going to get back into that gray there. A little bit more of the, well, you know what? I'm going to get a little bit of the rose in there because I'm going to need that to make some orange. Start adding it in now. Get some of the, not just a different color for the rocks, just a different gray. And I did bring like a gel pen, so if I need to get some whites back, I can. Okay, so I'm going to take some of the rose, take a little bit of that yellow. That's going to be the best, probably beet color I'll be able to get with those, because rose is a little red. It's a little pink. I think that'll be all right. Grab a little bit of yellow just on its own. A little bit of a shadow around the eye. And these little shadows on the tail, on the puffin bum. But leave the white, leave your white space. And let's see, there's a couple, like the wing tips are a little bit more reflective. Now I want to mix up a nice strong black. I can do this a couple ways. I think I'm actually going to do the rose and the cobalt teal and see if we get a nice black that way. I just try to grab from the edge so I don't contaminate all the paint. Ooh, I don't think that's going to give me a dark enough. That's still looking very red. Alright, let's grab some ultramarine. Let's grab some burnt sienna. Well, we get a complex black going here, but that'll be all right. And of course, I can always go back in with a pen if I want to. Hope this is interesting. I don't know. Oh, I think I got into some wet paint there by the eye, but that's all right. It's just a sketch. It's just, tell yourself too, it's just a sketch. Don't get yourself so worked up that what you're painting on location, what you're painting in your sketchbook has to be a work of art. It does not have to be museum quality. You are trying to capture a feeling of the day. You're not using every supply you have. Now I want to take that dark and add a shadow under the sky. Add some other shadows in the rocks. And maybe take some brown and some yellow and just do some little grasses. Sorry, my hand's in the way. That's almost kind of opaque there. Yellows will tend to be a little, maybe that's cadmium yellow, that's pretty opaque. For such a bright yellow, that could be a cadmium. Probably not the best mixing color in a mixing palette, but I was having some fun. You know, I don't think it's cadmium yellow, I think it's a Hansa Yellow light. Maybe Hansa Yellow deep, actually. All right, so let's blast this real quick to dry. Now, I'd probably go work on something else if I was letting this dry so I could go over with like some pen. Whenever you're going over with pen, whether it's a gel pen, especially if it's a micron pen, you want to make sure that your paper is completely dry, because if it's not, then you're gonna get some moisture onto the tip of your micron. It's going to stop working. And it's going to be very frustrating because it won't work again until it's completely, you might even have to go home and wipe alcohol on it to get it working again, so that's very frustrating. And if you only have one pen with you, that's like, that might be the only, you know, that might kind of put you out of commission for a while. Okay, now I'm going to grab the white pen here and just kind of clean up. Here we went a little too far in. Also want to get that white in there. And then if there's any highlights I want or anything I want to clean up, I can go in and do that with the white. I don't have the best luck with Jelly Roll gel pens, but I did have a few of these, so I wanted to basically get it used up, because gel pens do not get better with age. If you get a frustrating gel pen, it's almost like either toss it or just use it more so that you can actually get your use out of it, and then move on. See, it's not really giving me. I should probably just chuck this one. It's too bad because it's not that old, and I had like a set. It had a 3, a 5, and an 8, and the 8 was the only one I actually really found that I could use reliably, and I'm really not that keen on that. I'm going to go and just do a little bit of pen shading. I watched a David Attenborough clip on puffins last night after we got home. And then I'm like, man, how do these people get these amazing shots? It's crazy. And I can put some lens underneath as well. Of course, you can go ahead and do as much as you have the time or inclination to, but remember, when you're sketching out and about, you don't have that much time to work on something. You want to kind of get in and get out, because, you know, people might be waiting on you, or, you know, you don't want to spend all day in one area. You'll want to see what you can see. But there you go. That's how I kind of approach a sketch in the field. I hope you found that helpful, and I will link everything I use down below. This I'm getting used to. I'm not sure how I like it, but I will link to it. I will also link to the original portable painter, because that's my go-to travel set, like when I'm kayaking or when I'm anywhere where I can kind of control how long I spend at a place. So it might be useful. You can always bring whatever small tin of watercolors you have too. Don't feel like you have to have anything store-bought. You can take an Altoids tin and and put some half pans in there, or any tiny palette you have. You know, it's fun to build your own little palettes too. So don't feel like you have to go buy something if you want to do some sketching outside. It's good. You can use what you have. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget that sale, FUN40. Use a coupon code and you can get 40% off any full-length class in my Teachable School. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.